Breaking news at noon, a new ruling in the case of Michelle Carter. She can be prosecuted in connection with a friend's suicide. The Supreme Judicial Court denying an appeal to dismiss an indictment charging Carter with manslaughter.
Big developments here. She allegedly texted her friend last summer encouraging him to kill himself. 7's Jonathan Hall joins us live now from the breaking news desk. John, what's the latest here?
Well, the Supreme Judicial Court now has weighed in, the highest court in the state. It acknowledges this is the very first time it is considered a manslaughter case where the defendant used words alone, but it says the grand jury's indictment of the teen should stand. Today, the state's highest court says Michelle Carter should stand trial for involuntary manslaughter after she allegedly urged a friend, Conrad Roy, to commit suicide, both via text messages and cell phone conversations. Roy, who was 18 and suffered from depression, got in his grandfather's pickup truck and started a gas-powered water pump so he could die from carbon monoxide poisoning nearly 2 years ago. The truck was parked near a Kmart in Fairhaven. It appeared to be suicide, but then police analyzed cell phone messages and found Roy had second thoughts about killing himself. In one text, police say the then 17-year-old Carter told Roy to get back in the truck. A juvenile court denied a defense claim that this was protected speech and that Carter couldn't have committed involuntary manslaughter under Massachusetts law because she was not present with the victim. Carter claims a grand jury indictment should be tossed out, but a single justice on the high court disagreed, and today the full SJC sided with the lower court. Its decision says, quote, "We have never required in the return of an indictment for involuntary manslaughter that a defendant commit a physical act in perpetrating a victim's death." The Bristol County DA recused himself from the case. He is a relative of Conrad Roy's grandmother. His office did release a statement saying that it appreciates the court's thorough review. No trial date has been set. Live in the newsroom, Jonathan Hall, 7 News.
Also breaking, Al-Qaeda's leader Ayman al-Zawahiri is threatening America. He took command of al-Qaeda after Osama bin Laden was killed in 2011. In an online video, al-Zawahiri says he will attack the U.S. if Boston Marathon bomber Johar Tsarnaev is executed. Tsarnaev was sentenced to death by lethal injection last year for the 2013 marathon bombing that killed 3 people and injured more than 260 others.
Switching gears to our forecast now. We could be in for some wild weather before the end of the day, so you need to pay attention. This is a live look at the current radar. Nothing to be concerned with at the moment, but there could be some nasty weather headed our way from the west. It will hit Ohio and New York first, but we could certainly see some of those rough and tumble storms later tonight. Yeah,
not exactly the ideal start to the holiday weekend. No. Bree Eggers is here now with more, but the rest of the holiday, 4th of July, is supposed to be good, right?
It's true. We have more to look forward to. We just have to sort of make it over the hurdle of tonight, but it is important to be weather aware. You can see some showers and storms that are just to the south of us, and also look off to the west. Some of these lightning bolts that are just showing up now, that tells me that we're getting enough heat from our surface that's sort of bubbling up these storms. So here it begins, and we'll run through that timeline coming up. But again, take a look down south. You can see this shower right here. Not any lightning reports that are coming up with that one, but it is trying to make its way across the vineyard. I think that'll happen within the next hour or two. A bit breezy out there. Maybe you've noticed that. Winds coming out of the south, helping to usher in some more humidity, one of the ingredients that we need to really get these storms going. And then this is the front that adds all the extra oomph that these storms need to get that action in place as we head into this evening. Running through the timeline, you can see through the afternoon there is a chance for a pop shower or a pop sprinkle, possibly a pop thunderstorm. But I think this is more likely that we see the action with these storms enter into the Berkshires about 6 o'clock, and we don't really see it enter into Worcester County until 8, 9, 10 o'clock into Boston. A lot of outdoor activities that are planned for tonight. Won't rule out any early storms, but it does look like a lot of this action is getting going later in the evening hours, so between 8 and midnight. Now, this has been updated by the SPC, so we are looking at a more likely risk for those stronger storms to be out west for us, a slight risk in the yellow area. Their main threats as far as these storms go will be gusty, damaging winds, also very heavy downpours, small hail, and a very slight risk for an isolated tornado. So again, another night to be very weather aware as you're headed out for your evening plans. We'll cover all of this in more detail and talk about the weekend forecast to come in just a few minutes.
Also on 7, a racist Facebook post sparking outrage in Freetown. The post was about a house party that drew more than 1,000 guests earlier this month. And now the firefighter who posted the comment is off the job. 7's Nicole Oliverio has more.
A firefighter fired. Racist comments posted on his personal Facebook page caused the Freetown firefighter to lose his job.
First, I asked him if he actually did it. I asked him, did you actually make these posts? He said yes. And, I said, oh, you realize what's happening now.
The paid-by-call firefighter made comments about a home in a Sonnet that had a party last week with 1,000 people. The firefighter wrote, "I can see the next fire call will be this house on fire, and I'll make sure I can't find the hydrant, LOL. Then he replied to a comment saying, "Just make sure no water, so no more house parties with Black Boston people."
He betrayed the public trust. When you talk about not putting water on fires and whatnot, we can't accept that. It's unacceptable.
The people throwing the party did hire a police detail, but said it was only going to be a small family reunion. It took officers hours to break up the party after neighbors complained. No one was arrested, but the family, who is Black, could face charges. The woman who lives at that home acknowledged the post, but didn't want to comment. Freetown's chief doesn't believe the post was meant to be threatening, but it was offensive. And he says he was left without a choice to fire that firefighter who had been with the department for 5 years.
And he said, yeah, he says, I screwed up. He says, I'm sorry. He says, he apologized to me. He apologized to his fellow firefighters. And he basically apologized to the entire town that he's sorry that he did it.
Despite already having its own policy regarding social media posts, the fire chief tells us that he will review that policy, make any changes if needed, and remind all firefighters what that policy is. In Freetown, Nicole Oliverio, 7 News.
Investigators taking a closer look at a Dunkin' Donuts in Minden after some shocking video appears online. Take a look at this video. It appears to show a store worker dropping a tray of donuts on the ground, then putting the tray back on the shelf to be sold. Health inspectors found several violations, including spills in the fridge, messes on the floor, contaminated food prep counters, and a broken hand washing station. So far, the store has not yet been fined for any of the violations.
More news today and a stunning new twist in a wildly popular podcast. The man at the center of the serial murder mystery getting a new trial. It comes after backlash about the fairness of his original hearing, and now there's renewed speculation centering on the strength of the prosecution's evidence. It's a new trial for Adnan Syed, convicted 16 years ago of murdering a popular high school senior named Hyman Lee. She was found dead in a shallow grave in Baltimore. Syed, her ex-boyfriend, was put on trial and convicted. The case might have ended there if not for a national public radio podcast called Serial that turned it into a national phenomenon. Syed maintained his innocence.
No one ever's been able to provide any shred of evidence. Man, I had no reason to kill her.
Questions were raised about the strength of the prosecution's case and even about the effectiveness of Syed's lawyers and their failure to contact potential alibi witnesses. Yesterday, a huge payoff for all that attention and work by Syed's current lawyers. A judge ordered a new trial, citing questions about the reliability of cell tower location evidence used to show where he was when the crime was committed. His legal team says the family is overjoyed.
They were at times speechless, so I had to check and make sure the phone line had not gotten cut off. But they're delighted.
Reaction was immediate on social media. One woman tweeted that she was sitting on the beach alone with tears of joy streaming down her face. In his ruling, the judge said the case represents what he called a unique juncture between the criminal justice system and phenomenally strong public interest. The judge said he tried his best to address the legal merits of the request for the new trial and to treat it like any other case, not be swayed by sympathy, prejudice, or any public opinion.
Crews are searching for a grizzly bear who killed a mountain biker in Montana. The bear attacked the bicyclist while 2 men were riding along the trail. Officials say they believe they surprised the bear. Crews have planted traps and cameras to find that bear. The victim is an officer with the U.S. Forest Service. An 8-year-old boy nearly drowns in a swimming pool on a cruise ship. The Royal Caribbean ship wasn't far from its port in New Jersey when this accident happened, so it did go back to port. The boy was taken to the hospital. Officials believe the child was under the water for 8 to 10 minutes before being found by ship officials. As of Thursday night, this young man was still in critical condition. Still ahead on 7 News, quite a catch for some researchers in North Carolina. The 12-foot tiger shark that was just too big to tag.
And get your not Powerball, it's Mega Millions this time. Tickets before it's too late. Tonight's Mega Millions jackpot continues to climb. Wait until you hear how much it is now.
People will be buying some Mega Millions tickets for the drawing tonight. The jackpot is up to $415 million. It's the 10th largest jackpot in U.S. history. If you win the Mega Millions and take a lump sum, you can take home $286 million before taxes.
And then promptly
Not so bad.
quit your job, I'm sure.
Oh, yeah. I would totally keep working.
Would you?
No,
when
I'm
that
just
alarm
joking,
goes
Bree.
off.
I don't
bright
know.
and
What
early.
about you? Yeah, that 2 a.m. wake-up call. I don't know.
I would. I'd like start a shelter for cats or something like that and do this on the weekends. I love the weekend forecasting. Holiday weekend looking good for us. We do have a lot of sunshine and temperatures into the 80s. Current temperatures are into the 80s as well, but today is kind of the hurdle we have to get through in order to enjoy the rest of the weekend. You can see that the clouds have already moved in, some showers, even some thunderstorms to the south of us and also to the west of us, moving through New York at this point, those storms starting to really bubble up. And if you've been outside today, maybe you've noticed that the atmosphere just feels primed for something to be brewing as we head into the later hours of today. I think maybe this shower right here going to clip Martha's Vineyard here within the next hour or so, and into Buzzards Bay it goes. You can see the breeze coming out of the south, and it is pretty breezy. Sustained winds 10 to 20 miles per hour, but that southerly wind is actually ushering in a more humid air mass. So we're looking at dew points in the mid 60s down near Buzzards Bay, Martha's Vineyard as well. And once you get that moisture pumping in here, that really primes the atmosphere for seeing some of these storms, especially as we get some extra lift, some extra oomph provided by this front right here that makes its way through into the evening hours. Now, the SPC, Storm Prediction Center, has just updated this within the last 15 minutes or so. Enhanced risk that you can see into the Berkshires, Connecticut River Valley, slight risk issued here in the yellow, and that is for severe weather. So more likely for those stronger storms to happen out west, but some of these cells could prove to hold together as they march farther to the east. So it's just very important throughout the day, today and into the evening hours, to be very weather aware. Remember, it sounds trite, but when thunder roars go indoors, you can see this line that marches into the Berkshires starting at about 6, 7 o'clock, and even another area of storms that could develop to the south of us moving through southeastern Massachusetts. So we are under the gun for these showers to move through and storms to move through between about 5 p.m. tonight through 1 a.m. tonight as well. The biggest threats being strong, damaging, gusty winds, straight line winds, as well as heavy downpours that could cause urban street flooding. Small hail could be in there, as well as some large hail if we get strong enough updrafts taking it into the cold layers of the atmosphere, and a very slight risk for an isolated tornado. But I do imagine that we're going to see a lot of those polygons start to pop up as we head into the evening hours for severe thunderstorm warnings. So keep it with Jeremy Reiner all throughout the afternoon and evening, and he'll be tracking it for you. How much rain is in store? We could use the rain. It doesn't look like a lot, but those areas that do pick up a heavy downpour could get around an inch as we head through this evening. Shower and storm threat, again, it becomes more likely as we get into the later hours, I'd say past 7 o'clock tonight. So bring your rain gear, outdoor activities, just be prepared for whatever is coming, and then be prepared for a fantastic weekend to follow. If you have plans to get out of the area and head up to the mountains and lakes region, we're in for a warming trend, a lot of sunshine to return starting tomorrow. It's also still a little breezy tomorrow, but we will be less humid through the weekend. A nice 4th of July in store, and turning up the heat next week.
A group of researchers making a big catch in North Carolina. The group reeled in a 12-foot-long tiger shark Wednesday night. Researchers say they catch sharks and try to tag them before releasing them back into the water.
We tag all of our sharks. All the data goes back to the research labs that we send them to. And it's really good for the ecosystem to know what sharks are coming through, where they're migrating, where they're going.
The crew did not tag the shark. They say because the shark was so large, it would have taken too long and put the tiger shark in danger.
Coming up on 7 News here at noon, a tasty dessert that is easy to make, and it's perfect for the holidays. It's blueberry cobbler that Sarah says is the best ever.
It is amazing.
It's coming up.